broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, Doctor Who fans! Welcome back to the Doctor Who After Show here on AFTERBUZZ TV, talking about Season 8, Episode 5, Time Heist. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me this week, Liz Rishmawry is here.
What's going on, guys?
Jessie Klein is here.
Hey, everyone.
And guys, what a fun episode this was.
Yeah.
Had a great time watching it. A wonderful mashup of genre pastiche, if we want to get super critical or criticism-y.
Okay.
But we don't have to.
I had a bagel with some great pastiche.
Yeah, you had a bagel with pastiche?
Yeah, it was great.
You know, this episode was written by Steve Thompson, who also wrote last year's Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, as well as being the third writer on Sherlock. And I only bring it up because I feel like there's kind of a parallel between the two in terms of just how the episode left me feeling, which is that we've got like an amazing concept that to me is like largely realized, but ultimately could have gone way further, or been executed better, or to at least to more satisfying effect.
Yeah, this episode was harmless.
Yes, like that's a great word for it.
It didn't really offend me at all, but it also, I wanted it to be more. Like, I'm super excited, especially when he, like, makes the reveal, like, this is a time heist. I'm like, what? Awesome. I was hoping there would be, like, multiple levels to the heist, like, maybe multiple teams, like, setting people up in time.
Right.
Like, that kind of thing.
Or, like, we're establishing clones towards the end of it.
Exactly.
Have that they realize that they are, like, what were the clones from Season 6?
Are you
the Living Flesh?
Yeah.
That
would have been cool.
Have them turn out
callback.
Exactly. And have it just be super intricate and crazy. And I feel like it's ultimately both episodes were let down by their budgets and what they could effectively accomplish on time, on budget.
There was a lot of the same hallway with a different light illuminating it. Also, like, really interesting edits. Like, really weird, like... Are
you talking about that one transition that...
There were like 3 transitions where it was like them going somewhere and it would just like swipe into a new one, and I was like, oh, is this a dream? Like, it kind of made me feel like it was maybe a dream or something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they just used, like, it was the same hallway, and then to make it look different, let's put a red light, and then we're going to make her run in the opposite direction. And I just...
The same grate over and over again that they're entering and
exactly.
exiting.
Yeah.
I feel like most, and I said this earlier on the SourceFed Doctor Who show, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
A lot of the most like middle of the road Doctor Who episodes have a preponderance of corridors in them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, some of the best ones have a preponderance of corridors. The Doctor's wife being key among them.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's those times when you know, oh yeah, they're low on money right now.
Yeah, it felt like one of those episodes where it's like, okay, we spent all of our money on the teller.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, that guy's costume and makeup and wardrobe. So you know what, Capaldi, this week we're not even gonna do a fancy shirt. You're gonna wear a black shirt underneath the jacket. We ran out in wardrobe.
I think it also might be like the way to tell if someone has actually stepped into the Doctor's shoes is to see how well they can sell running down the same hallway over and over again. Because I feel like that's just like something that, as a doctor on Classic Who, on that podcast, we just watched a bottle episode where it was all the same place, just shot at different angles. And I was like, okay, so this is a thing that Doctor Who has been doing since
for a
the
long
beginning.
time.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, I just want to give out our Twitter handles to those of you who are watching live. Hello.
Hello.
You can tweet me at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. Liz.
Hey guys, Liz Rishmawry. You can tweet me at Lizzie Maui, LIZZY,
And Jessie.
Yeah, you can find me at Jess Klein 1, JESSKLEIN, the number 1.
Yeah, so feel free to tweet us during the show so that you can join in on the conversation. You know, it's funny. I feel like there was almost a direct reference to Capaldi not being the running doctor. Like, it was very, very well publicized that when David Tennant came on, they asked him what he wanted to do, and he's like, I want there to be a lot of running. And in this one, we've got Capaldi running about like 15 feet, and then be like, hold on.
Also, did you notice when at the very end when I forget her name, the skin-changing lady,
Start with the Z.
Hugged him. He like held onto his arm like he was almost hurt. Like it was like this really brief moment that if you go back and watch it, like he like held onto the arm for just a second.
Her arm or his arm?
Was it Zabra? Zara?
Zara, he held onto his arm.
It might have just been because he's awkward with hugs. You know, like he doesn't like hugs, but he like accepted it and was just like, you know.
Interesting.
It was a very interesting
moment. If it was the last one, maybe it's just because she enjoyed like touching his hand, knowing that she wasn't going to change. Maybe it was that kind of a moment. So let's back up. I feel like we had a really, really solid open to the episode. We're dropped into this thing. We've got this scene between the Doctor and Clara, which maybe isn't like the most acidic banter between the two that we've had. It's not as sharp necessarily as what we saw last episode or even the episode before.
It's feeling like the Doctor's becoming more and more avuncular to Clara. Like, it seems like he's like protective of her and much more like her caretaker as much as she is his. Like, it feels like it's almost like a child leaving the nest, where she's like, she doesn't exactly need the Doctor. She's going on dates and stuff like that,
and he's realizing
he's realizing it, and like coming up with like going to lagoons and stuff like that, and like trying to find stuff for them to do that weekend, and she's too cool for it. She's like, oh, I've got a date.
I'm surprised that he doesn't like overly mention again, like, if you have to go on a date, it's a time machine. I can bring you back before your date. Hell, I can even give you 10 minutes prior so you have more time to primp.
Hell, I did that last week.
But it seems like it's almost a story where Clara is kind of outgrowing the Doctor, where with previous companions, even if they did have loving relationships, it was like, oh, we've got a time-traveling friend, so as much as I am into you, I want to go travel through time and space.
This is better than that.
Where it looks like Clara's like trying to get her life in order. It looks like she's trying to make things work, trying to go on date number 2, no matter how
date number whatever.
How difficult was number 2,
or how difficult it was for Danny to get the words out of his mouth.
Well, as a maths teacher,
we're going date tonight.
And then the kid runs in. Get out!
Get out! Yeah.
And I love these two together. I believe their chemistry. I believe that they like each other. And the Clara outfit, I'm a fan. Also, as someone tweeted at me at some point over the weekend,
looked like she was Reservoir Dogs.
Very Reservoir Dogs.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah,
because that's a heist movie. I feel like they paid homage to a lot of different heist movies. And to me, I understand both of your points, and maybe it feels a little bit at times in this episode kind of like a dad and his daughter, and she's like growing up, and he's still like looking for ways to be relevant. But at the same time, I feel like the fact that his jabs weren't as mean, he's getting more used to her. They're becoming closer friends. But at the same time, she's trying to live her life. I feel like she, you know, a lot of companions have experienced heartbreak and hardship while traveling with the Doctor, but she seems to be the most like, I don't need that in my life out of any of them. She's like, you know what? The bad parts aren't worth the good parts. You know, you asked me to take care of you in this new regeneration, but I have one foot out the door.
Well, it was always interesting with, especially like with Amy, because she and the Doctor were so close. It was always interesting when you would come back to an episode and you'd be like, oh, months have passed since the last episode. Like, there's been time where they just haven't seen each other. And
which she's used to.
Which she's used to, but it feels like the opposite here, where it's like the Doctor is waiting around for a time that he can hang out with Clara. Like, he's not necessarily like coming back and forth and has all these plans that are going on, and like it's like, oh yeah, that's right, I have to get my friend. It's more like he's waiting to approach her with other stuff to do.
It almost feels like this is the first time in a while we've seen the Doctor where, I mean, before he was always like he'd get caught up in his own adventures and misplace, you know, how much time has passed since he's seen the companion, you know, and kind of would try to play it off like, oh man, sorry about that. And this is the first time when we're seeing the Doctor, and it's kind of like a puppy waiting for their owner to get back home, like, hey, you're done with school, let's do this, let's, you know. So, and I feel bad, like, you know, again, it's a new, he's so harsh and kind of sarcastic and crude, but at the same time there's a tenderness there that I feel we haven't seen in any of the Doctors in a really long time. Even Matt Smith, I feel, portrayed less neediness.
Well, that's the exact word I was going to talk about, because what I love about this is he is both the, you know, like, don't touch me, get away Doctor, but also the neediest Doctor we've had in some time.
Yeah.
And even at the very end, he's very competitive, not necessarily specifically with Danny Pink, but with the appeal of life on Earth.
Yeah.
He is very competitive, and we'll talk more in predictions. The scenes that we saw from next week see him firmly making a stand against that life or invading it.
Yeah.
You know, because he wants his friend. He's lonely. He's talking to himself, and he doesn't like it anymore. I feel like Matt Smith's Doctor liked talking to himself. You know, he got handles because he'd been talking to himself for so long that he needed something, even just a skull, to talk to. But this Doctor, and maybe this is, you know, throwing this out there, the events of last week's episode, he doesn't like being alone because he knows there's something there with him, and it makes him uncomfortable. That's
that's our live studio audience.
It's our live studio audience. They're fantastic.
They're very quiet most of the time. Well, more on the theme of father and daughter kind of thing. The last week's episode was the dad looking under the bed for the daughter.
Yeah,
like it seems like that's kind of the themes that they're going for.
Well, vice versa.
Turned out to be the daughter,
the mother looking under,
vice versa,
looking under the bed for the son, or lurking under the bed. Really,
lurking under the bed. Yeah. So we have these mind worms.
Which happy to see the mind worms return. Because that's a really fun device. So yeah, he picks up the phone. What could be the harm? And then immediately smash cut. We're in. Picking up. Oh my God, we had mind worms. We don't know where we are. We're already on this bank planet. We are screwed. We got to get moving.
Yeah.
Great setup.
Yeah. It was fun.
And you know, like some of the best heist movies, you don't necessarily know what's going on until, you know, the entire way through the movie. You think you know what's going on, and then there's a twist, and now you really think you know what's going on, but that's not what's going on.
Yeah, sure. Thomas Crown Affair, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I just got a really funny tweet. Doctor Who fan at Doctor Who at 50. I'm joining late, and I see Matt is being attacked by a giant caterpillar. Hashtag hairy lip.
Yeah, well.
I was going to make a comment and say it just looks like Capaldi's eyebrows fell down onto the top of his lip.
Yeah, Blake R. Bolton also writes, Matt, that mustache scares me. Andrew Fedge at Tiger Version X writes, Clara and Danny Pink are believably super awkward and cute, and I'm digging it. More Danny Pink.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I like that she is confident and kind of fills in his holes. Ew.
Ian B at Inspired Idiocy writes, he said, what was with the robbed a whole bank as a date comment from the Doctor?
Well, that's what I think
that's what we were talking about.
This competition of just sort of like, you think your life's so great. We did this whole thing. And you're gonna come running back.
Let's see how a fancy restaurant compares to robbing a bank.
We saved a whole species. There's no way she is gonna be begging for more adventures. Begging, I say.
I'm so cool. I liked the side characters this episode. I did too. I thought the main antagonist was really interesting, and I thought the two side characters. I thought Sai was a really well fleshed out.
I thought both of them were really fleshed out.
Them a lot.
We gave them. That was one of the best, I think, parts of this episode, because you have to remember, you know, Doctor Who is so, you know, strong. Has such strong side characters that we know and love, like Captain Jack Harkness, who Stephen Moffat created. He you know, was created by Moffat in The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, and it's been a while. We have Madame Vastra and Jenny and Strax, but it's been a minute. It's been now 2 years since we've had any new side characters show up who weren't immediately killed.
Or at least we thought they were, and then...
And both Zabra and Sai we both were given a reason to care about them.
Yeah.
We're both given a reason to care about them, which is why I'm so happy we made the decision to let them live.
Yeah.
Because there could be fun places to plug them in later on. I mean, granted, Zabra, now that her power has been, you know, like, I'm wondering if maybe we don't see her again.
Or maybe she, like, finds a way to control it or something like that. Yeah.
Because didn't she say she was wearing, like, a shield thing?
Yeah,
like, it wasn't something that she was born with. It was some sort of shield force field thing that she wears.
That was for her clothes.
Oh, the clothing.
Yeah. And also, when Sai was leaving, the doctor gave him, like a call me kind of thing. So, like, I feel like they're setting up at least we'll see Sai in a future episode.
Right. Although then again, we have to recall the Doctor's daughter who blasted off into space. Like, look out, Dad, here I come.
And then I'm going to marry you in real life and have your kids. It's not weird. I was going to say that I think it would be interesting because the way they set it up, like, okay, so we take Zabra and, okay, maybe we won't see her because now she doesn't have these powers, but now Sai is going to regain his memories of family and stuff, and I feel like I would really love to see an episode where he comes back and needs a doctor's help, like he regained his memories and remembered something horrible, or maybe he needs help reconnecting with those people. Like, I mean, I just want to know more about him. Or he was the most interesting to me.
Or he could be a villain. He gets those memories back and he remembers that he's like a bad person.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel a bad person wouldn't have purposely wiped out all of his memories for friends and family to protect them if that was really the case.
He's only assuming that's why he wiped out his memory.
That's true.
Yeah.
But he remembers why he did. He just remember anything about the people, but he said, I couldn't put other people in jeopardy, so the only thing was to erase them. So he remembers the reasoning he did it. He remembers that he had people he cared about. He just doesn't remember who they are.
But here's the thing. If he wiped everything... Oh, you're saying he just wiped those specific files, but the rest of his brain was still there. He still knew who he was.
Exactly.
So it would make sense he would know why. I think what could be is that he now remembers who his friends and family are, and they've fallen into great disrepair or are in deep jeopardy because he wasn't around or because of his actions. I think that could be really potentially interesting. I also just like this version of the cyborg concept.
Yeah.
He also had the hippest haircut ever, and I freaking want it.
Real hip cyborg.
Real hip cyborg, man. I want the haircut.
I just realized you look like Ned Flanders to me.
Yes.
I look like Ned Flanders. I've got a mustache and glasses on. I understand the comparison.
You should get a full body. You should get a full body ski suit, and feels like I'm wearing nothing at all.
I made the comment earlier that he looked like Harry Potter during a midlife crisis.
Okay, we can talk about the episode, or we can talk about my mustache. We can't talk about both.
Yeah. But Sai ended up being a hacker / bank robber, not a gamer, as he had said before.
Right.
We didn't really hear what
Sabra was doing beforehand.
Yeah, but I assume nothing good with that power. She was probably...
Well, I think she was just alone.
Yeah,
and
she was just lonely.
They recruited someone, you know, as the architect, the doctor recruited someone who would have that skill set that they needed.
Yeah.
I wonder, did they explain fully how he...
No.
Yeah.
They showed a montage of him laying cases all around the place.
Because he had the TARDIS.
Because he had the TARDIS. He was able to enter everywhere but the vault, and because there was no solar storm happening at the time, it would have been easy for him to get in and get out very quickly.
Yeah.
Man.
There were a lot of levels to this. They like meet each other and they're like going and
they get this first case.
Well, Zabra gets
Sabra. Someone tweeted me and they spelled it properly, and that is at JP Drama Kid. I loved Sai and Sabra. Great characters. I really hope they return, whether it's full time or just one episode.
Thank you, JP. She got the DNA of an old guy. An old banksman.
Yeah, an old banksman.
And they go in and it looks like everything's going fine, but then like the alarms go off.
Yeah.
And they detected guilt.
Dude.
They detected guilt, which is why they had to have their minds wiped in the first place. And that poor dude gets his brains sucked out via a ray. And I really liked the teller, the design of the creature, his psychology, how he operated, and the fact that he ultimately was he was trapped there because they were holding his wife captive.
Yeah.
I thought that was great to give this character, what could have been just a monster, some extreme pathos.
For sure. Yeah, a very scary type of monster that locks onto your thoughts. Like, that's a very interesting a very interesting creature design, like a cool kind of thing that makes it scary. And there was a don't blink moment where it was don't think.
Don't think, yeah.
And I was like,
maybe a little retread.
I know you guys what you guys are pointing to. But I thought it was a cool looking character, fun eyes.
Yeah, it was very Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
Very Star Wars. There's that one alien in the cantina with 3 eye stalks.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he reminded me of.
Yeah, in Dark Forces, those things through thermal detonators.
Exactly. You're so right. We're right in the same.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It kind of reminded me that, like, I wish
Forces.
I wish there was, like, a creature effects shop that was attached to Doctor Who so that we could have, like, because that entire bank was mostly just human, like, looking humans.
I know.
Yeah.
And I know it's Doctor Who, and it's like they have such a limited budget, but it'd be great to see the universe just get a little bit bigger.
Well, it would be nice. Here's the thing. This didn't need to be episode 5 of a series. This could be a Christmas special.
Yes.
With all the money in the world that got thrown at, say, Time of the Doctor, which is just the most boring sit in a room and talk episode ever, with the exception of the final assault.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like, let's pool some money when you have a cool concept.
Yeah.
You don't need to execute it in the middle of the season when you're low on cash.
Especially when you have an episode like this where you have a guest writer coming in that's going to give that kind of, I have to sneeze really bad. It's there, and now that I said it, it's going to not come. But yeah, like, again, like, especially when you have like different ideas coming in because of these guest writers, and they bring more to the table that could really like open that up to those ideas and different character designs and all this. Like, bring them in when you have the funds to do that. You know, like, I don't know.
Well, he's not a guest. He's written an episode every year since season 6.
But I just mean, like,
if he's only coming in for one episode, give him some cash.
Yeah.
The most satisfying thing about this episode, for me, was seeing the Doctor piece the mystery together.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time this season it's felt like the Doctor has been on top of things.
And like he's been the main character in an episode.
Yeah, with the whole, like, why are you in charge? And he's like, that's my superpower.
Because he has eyebrows.
And then he's like, also the eyebrows. But, like, seeing him put things together, see where he's like just like little bits and stuff like that, where he figures out, like, what do you love most in the world, or what do you want most in the world? Obviously, that's what's in this bank.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't have accepted the mind wipe. Like, you wouldn't have accepted doing this. So, like, seeing him piece things together, and then the part where Sabra's like,
you're lying.
Well, that and what's your plan? He's like, oh, I assume a thing will probably happen.
Things are gonna happen.
Like,
And he was totally right.
Yeah. Well, that could be the tagline for every Doctor Who episode ever. It's
things
like,
gonna
Doctor
happen.
Who, I assume a thing will probably happen.
Yeah.
You're quite right.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, at Distant Dweller, Jenna loving the Watson stash, Matt Lieberman.
Nice.
Okay, some people do like it.
Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
It's Matt's inner dialogue.
Doctor Who at 50 writes, wouldn't you think the mind wipe was a way to keep the teller at bay? Hashtag mind soup bad.
Yeah, I think that's what they established, is like they were trying to figure out guilt. So, like, the less that they knew about the heist, the better, because they couldn't track them through their brains knowing guilt. Yeah.
Like, they knew they were there and that they were doing something, but if they were to, like, find out the plan, they don't even know the plan.
Right. Yeah. It was less guilt and more confusion, which is why this other guy, wound up being the target of the teller in that first scene.
Well, I think he was guilty,
Deflated
too.
head.
Yeah, he was, well, I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was something that...
I feel like they didn't actually pinpoint exactly why he was guilty. She was saying, she was making, accusations like, oh, counterfeit money, this, and that. He was an account holder. He actually had a safe in a vault there, but he was up to something. And I don't think they really specified what that is, because she said, well, we can find out later. And then we just never really, we just saw him on the screen in the chains with the flat head.
Well, as she said, catching these people is good for morale. And I feel like she doesn't necessarily care if they're guilty or not.
Yeah.
The teller is supposed to be so infallible that it doesn't ultimately matter if they're guilty or not. If the teller picked them, obviously they were doing something wrong.
And also, obviously, no one will want to break in if they know that their future is mind soup.
Exactly.
Also, I wonder if it was like, could it have been guilt? Like, what if he was just like getting money to take out of an account he shared with his wife to run away with his mistress? That could be guilty and have nothing illegal to do with against the bank.
Yeah,
So-
but then I'm glad he got mind
We
souped.
don't know space morals. That might be illegal.
Yeah, infidelity is illegal in outer space.
Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah.
I like that that scene where they are all kind of frozen in front of the teller when he's cocooned.
Yeah.
And like everyone's just trying not to think of anything. Again, it was like the weird transition into it and the weird transition out. Like,
of Clara
Clara's
in kind of like
face.
red
Yeah.
Clara.
And
Yeah.
then it like just transitioned out like a weird like shifty transition. I don't know what the technical term
Well, when they
for it
got
was.
into that room,
Yeah.
there was a weird transition that to me felt like it was like let's go, and then there was just like a graphic effect, and then all of a sudden we were in another room.
Yeah, and then you see like the shoulders, the soldiers like feet, the guards
Yeah.
like running, and I'm like, aren't they gonna come in? Where's the door? Are they gonna come through the gate? And then it like I don't know.
If it had been a hard cut, it would have been so much more satisfying. Because for me, I was like, oh, what are they trying to tell us?
I thought it was a flashback signal.
I was like, what are they trying to show us with these odd transitions? And it turned out nothing.
It was just kind of like extra style thrown on that was ultimately misleading.
Yeah, which is too bad because like this was a beautiful episode. Like the locations, even though we were complaining about that hallway, it was still a very aesthetically pleasing looking hallway.
Absolutely, it was very well designed.
I loved the vault at the end with all of the Earth artifacts.
Exactly. And I'm like, we could have spent so much more time in there, or in rooms like it. You know, spread out some of those props into other safety deposit boxes, or you know. And I know that because it's a largely CG environment, this is why they didn't. When they're inside the vault with all the safety deposit boxes, the rows and rows, what a wonderful set piece you could set in and amongst those rows of safety deposit boxes, which first of all have keyholes but open without a key.
Yeah, sure.
But you know, start ripping them open and trying to find a weapon or a tool or something.
Yeah.
Like there's something very, very cool to be done in there.
When it's impossible to break in, you don't need to lock anything.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Key just looks aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Keyhole.
And then they established the the dimensional shredder, the atomic shredders, which I immediately knew were like I was not
teleporters.
They'd established season 1 of the retread with
Eccleston.
With Eccleston that like the thing where it looks like you're being evaporated, you're just getting teleported somewhere. Like I was like, oh, she's not dead.
Yeah, it reminded me of there's an episode of Futurama where like they use a ray gun and everybody thinks like Fry's disintegrated, but he really was just transported somewhere else.
Sure, yeah.
So
It's
like
an old trope.
Yeah.
But that's what this episode is.
It's a trope episode,
It's a trope episode. It's a grab bag of tropes, and you throw in the Doctor in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love the way that ultimately played out and was like, oh wait, but there were 8 of them. There's 6 left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got to be taking someone with us. And like
2.
when the Doctor figures that out, and when we find out that Kara Braxos is actually the woman we've been dealing with the whole time, played by Keely Hawes.
Severe brunette.
Yes, meow.
Or Auburn? Severe Auburn
Auburn.
No, she had brown hair. There was no tint of red.
Okay.
I'm a professional. Under this fake
Yeah,
red
sure.
is real red.
I want to give just a quick shout out to at Iqbal Mohammed, who is watching us live from Scotland at 2:45 a.m.
What?
Good on you, man. Thank you for watching.
Have some soda bread on us.
Yeah. They have that there.
It's
Or how about
delicious.
like
Have it with
really
salt.
good alcohol? I
Have it with
prefer
salt.
that.
Have it with salt.
Yeah. I like that. I really like the moment in the vault where we kind of see like I feel like this was like the moment where it's like, okay, this is this Doctor, which is he gets the idea and he's just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Yeah, shut it up.
And no one's talking, no one is talking, and he's still like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I'm getting an idea. And he's like, what was it you said? Unshut up. Like, or de-shut up is what he said.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was like, okay, that's this Doctor's thing.
Yeah.
It's like he's gonna get ideas and he's gonna be so excited about them that everyone has to stop and listen to
what
But
him.
he's
other
also
episode he did that in?
so. I think it was. I think Into the Dalek he
Yeah.
did as well. But
Yes.
you know what I like about it also is it's matching traits to the body, and it's an older body. So of course he's like, no, I need to hold on to this idea. I don't let it slip away. Just everyone shut up so I can crystallize it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got it. Everyone shut up. I got it.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, continue shutting up because I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
So I just think that that's stellar.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. Before we move on, I want to quickly mention iTunes. I say it every week only because it matters. Why does it matter? You may be asking. That is because it is the best way for you to support AfterBuzz TV. It's how we're able to get sponsors and guests on our shows. So the best way you can support AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes, rate and review the shows that you watch, or that you watch on YouTube, that you listen to on Stitcher, on iTunes, whatever device or service you use for your podcast listening or viewing. We produce over 80 hours a week of free podcast content here at AfterBuzz TV. It's a huge undertaking. We need all the support we can get, and your ratings and reviews are the best way to make sure that we're able to continue to do all the lovely things that we do. And we're putting out 2 Doctor Who podcasts right now.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
To be putting out this show and the classic show, which has been stellar. I don't know if you've checked it out yet, but you should. Jessie's been on it. Zach Wilson's been leading it, and it's been great.
Yeah, I did it last week. It was tons of fun.
Now, what was the episode that you guys did last week?
It was Edge of Darkness, I want to say. It was a really cool bottle episode where it was all of them just in the TARDIS. A really great kind of teleplay episode. Lots of dramatic looks directly into the camera.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And did you already announce what you're going to be doing this week?
I believe it's the Aztec episode. I
Oh,
forget-
the Aztecs!
Yeah,
Classic.
Which is kind of like, I believe is like the one that everyone points to, like when Doctor Who stepped into its own.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I just have a few quick reviews that I want to read here from those of you. Another great thing that you get when you review the show is you get a shout out here on the show. Mumbling Hoovian writes, surprisingly great. 5 stars. I think I see a compliment in there. I've listened to other AfterBuzz podcasts. They've been okay, especially with a show of such a large canon and current cult culture. This podcast is well done. The balance of understanding the material, but willingness to have no limit on their thoughts make this my favorite Doctor Who podcast.
Sweet.
I look forward to the rest of Season 8. Addicting from Ukiki. No, Ukiki.
Okay.
5 stars. There are no words to explain what a relief it is to hear such great dialogue and amazing commentary to episodes that sadly I alone have to enjoy. Well, you don't have to enjoy them alone. You can enjoy them with us.
We're here.
She's a lone Whovian in this part of the galaxy, but all is good in the world now that I have the Doctor Who AfterBuzz TV show.
Yay.
Love AfterBuzz. From Jenna Joker, 5 stars. I discovered AfterBuzz the other day when I was having Sherlock feels and really wanted to hear what other people thought about certain episodes. Then I realized there was a Doctor Who one as well. I love these podcasts because it's cool to see what other people interpret. Brilliant group.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much. Keep those reviews and ratings coming. We're sitting at 118 ratings right now. I think that there's no reason why we can't get to 200 ratings by the end of this season.
That'd be amazing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 8 episodes and a Christmas special left. So run to your computer, rate, review the show so that we may continue bringing you all the Doctor Who excellence that you've come to deserve.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we've got all these twists, all these turns.
Yeah.
All these corridors.
Yeah.
So many
But
corridors.
our arcs this week weren't really being picked up on, or maybe they were. You know, we've got the Doctor again, you know, talking to himself at the end of this episode, and the way that it's framed,
Yeah.
you know, from kind of far away, it gives you this kind of voyeuristic feel. And I know I harp on this idea that the floof, which we talked about last week, is real and is with him and is going to be something that comes back. But I don't know. Did you guys get any of that, or am I off base?
I feel like they are shooting the TARDIS right now. The way that the TARDIS is being shot, they're making it look as though the Doctor is very alone. I think they're trying to portray that as much as they can. So that voyeuristic feel, it might be a nod toward the floof, but I think it's also a very great shot to show him, like, it's like through like a bar and he's so far away.
Yeah.
And he lifts the leg when he pulls the lever, which was really fun.
Yeah.
But he looked very alone. The TARDIS doesn't look great when it's not lived in.
It almost looks like, I mean, especially we keep on going back to episode 4, was it, with Robin Hood? And we said how homey it looked because there was like bookshelves.
Episode 3.
Episode 3, sorry. And like, I feel that, like he said, there's been so many times where we've seen Matt Smith and David Tennant Doctor by themselves, and I feel like it isn't even that big in comparison. Like between where the main part is, where he's doing the controls, and like where the wall is, it doesn't look that big. And then the shot, it almost looks so spread out and empty in between where the control panel is and like the rest of the TARDIS.
Yeah, he looks like he was in an auditorium.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because the style of TARDIS, I feel like when we had that TARDIS rebrand midway through season 7, when we changed the look of it, I feel like Stephen Moffat very much knew that Matt Smith was on his way out, and that he wanted to go in a different direction with his next Doctor. And I feel like this is the most spare and empty, a lot of like empty space in this TARDIS. Like the original Matt Smith TARDIS and the seasons 1 through 4 TARDIS. Very warm colors. Red, orange.
Like doodads.
Filled with stuff.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's, you know, the weird organic like pillar things of seasons 1 through 4, or just all the great doodads in 5 and 6. But here's the thing. This TARDIS is very cold and empty, and we've added some warmth in those bookcases, but it's all on the edges, and it's how you shoot it. And he's just alone in the middle.
Yeah, even in last week's episode when he had the books and the chalkboard and he's writing out the words, it was the way they cast the light on it and stuff. It was like a dark little corner. It didn't feel lived in, like, you know, where somebody's actually putting a lot of work into something.
Yeah.
It's just, I
think it's the theme. I think Clara her job this season is to remind him why he loves doing what he does. I think right now the Doctor is very kind of, I think the Doctor's kind of scared. Like I think he doesn't really know what to do right now. You know, they ended it, Gallifrey's in a bubble. Like he doesn't seem to have like a lot of like the gumption or like motivation that Smith had or anyone else.
It almost seems like, I mean, we see him writing all these equations. He hasn't really done that in the last couple episodes. And I feel like almost with feeling like he might lose Clara because she's distancing herself from him, there's almost like a desperation where I would think he would want to like pine more for that, if that's what he was working on, to find Gallifrey because he's lonely, but also maybe there's a part of him that just feels like maybe I'm just destined to be alone, like maybe it's a hopeless thing.
I think you're both right on top of this, and you gave me like this epiphany. For the first time in like over 1,000 years, the Doctor has something to live for and to work towards. He's been running away for nearly 2,000 years, and now all of a sudden, he finally has a goal to work towards, an epic one, a big one with a lot of pressure riding behind it, because he hasn't been able to find Gallifrey yet. We've been seeing it on the fringes, just on chalkboards, but I imagine when he's not with Clara, he's off looking for Gallifrey and failing. And if you've ever had a massive project, something that you finally is within your grasp, a thing that you want, the enormity of it can intimidate you and can force you to procrastinate and try not to think about it.
Or even self-sabotage.
Even self-sabotage, which is why he's putting so much fixation on trying to be better than Clara's normal life. Why he's putting fixation on things like the thing hiding under the bed, because he's so afraid of failing his people and failing Gallifrey that he can't even face that problem head on yet. He's not in a place to do it. And he's terrified.
And also, in general, though, like, especially when he's been relying on the companionship of these companions for so long, and to know that the last one that he really needed to rely on is going away from him, it's also like the desperation to be, I guess, know himself more in this new regenerated form before he goes and finds that lost home and those more people. Like, there could be a part of him that just, you know, you're not ready for that. Like, you're just kind of alone and kind of stuck in that.
I want to throw something on top of this because it's inspired by a tweet that I think opens up a whole new side of this conversation tied to the episode. At Inspired Idiocy, Inspired Idiocy writes, love the show. Did they explain why he hates himself / the architect? May have missed it. He says over and over, I hate the architect, I hate the architect, I hate the architect.
And then he realizes
that he is the architect. I think that he does have a lot of self-hate, and it would explain why he's self-sabotaging. He's not ready to necessarily be happy, and why he's lashing out at the one person who cares about him. You know, like teasing her unrepentantly and pushing her away, you know, because he doesn't quite like himself. And I think the fact that he hates the architect so much is one of the reasons why he's able to figure it out.
Who he is.
Yeah, exactly. Because only me could put me in this horrible situation. Only I could cause this much pain or this much confusion or let people die on what is seemingly a whim. You jerk.
Yeah, he calls him like pompous and like all of those things. Like, it reminds me of the scene in the first episode of this season where he looks in the reflective surface and he's like, what is this face? And like trying to figure out who this face is. And I think that was kind of also talked about when Sabra was like, would you like looking directly back into your face? And she even says like, I've worn many faces. It's like, so is the Doctor. Like that's a thing that they've both kind of connected with. Like he's worn many faces as well. I think that kind of hit hard for him.
I also feel like maybe that's the reason why he didn't like put no hugs. I don't do hugs afterwards because it's another, you know, mutual soul. I guess I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you know. You both know
somebody else who gets his loneliness.
Incredible loneliness.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to admit that there is anyone else out there like him because that could mean that he could change. That could mean that there is salvation out there for him, and he just doesn't want to think about it right now. He would rather wallow. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we got to do some quick predictions.
All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Folks,
Nothing at all.
Folks, if you Folks, if you at home consider the scenes from next week to be a spoiler, maybe now's the time to drop out. But for those of you who don't think that that's a spoiler, let's talk about it. We saw some scenes from next week. Obviously, Clara continues to be going on adventures with the Doctor because it's starting to interfere with her relationship with Danny Pink. She's always rushing off somewhere or coming from somewhere, and he's not an idiot. He's noticed. And the Doctor takes a job at Coal Hill School as John Smith, which is just so wonderful to see.
Yes.
Because one of the things that we haven't got a lot of under Moffat's tenure are present-day Earth episodes, which kind of are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a kind of fun thing before Moffat, like just like seeing now Earth.
Right, and it brings back the you know, the promise of something like School Reunion, which is just such a fun comfort episode. That's like the mac and cheese of episodes.
Some mac and cheese.
I love that he's always John Smith. Every time. I really am looking forward to this. I feel like tying into the episode we saw last week where we get a glimpse of who is probably Clara's great-grandson, and knowing obviously that she winds up with Danny. I feel like this is the, you know, I mentioned it before. I said, I wonder if when he said my family does time travel, if it was just regarding his great-grandmother or if it was both of them. And I almost feel like this could be the episode where he discovers about the Doctor. And I wonder if he might go on an adventure or two with them.
I feel like that's definitely in the cards. There's no way that he doesn't know by the end of next episode.
Oh, yeah. Well, he'll definitely at least know of the Doctor's existence. My whole thing is I would really love to just see that branch into him going on some adventures.
Nothing about the previews. I think maybe there might be something with Psy in the Promised Land.
I hope so.
Great. I would love that. Lizzie Maui, where can the people find you?
You did it again.
Liz Rishmawry, sorry.
Thanks. Hi, guys. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lizzie Maui, LIZZYMAWY. You can also check me out on the Sword Art Online panel on... Stop grinning like that. You can also find me on the Sword Art Online panel on Sundays, and, of course, here recurringly.
Okay, and Jessie Klein?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. You can find me here doing Doctor Who stuff, and it looks like I'll be doing Flash in October.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MATTLIEBERMAN. You can find all my videos for SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd on YouTube, and you can find me here doing the Under the Dome finale this week, Ray Donovan finale this Sunday, the Nick, the Strain, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Sleepy Hollow, and Sons of Anarchy. Thank you all so much. See you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.